It's a second line day. Today we're looking at gate 44, coming to meet the gate of alertness, and we're in the second line, which is called management. Here in the second line, there is the capacity to be able to work with others, to be able to manage others, but it has to be called out. There's no other way. Someone will look through your open window and say, I can't handle that person, but I think you could. Could you please try and talk to them? This is something a 44 line 2 can often hear. Second line is a line of projection. All second lines are projecting outwards with an inability to be introspective. They cannot look inwards, which means that they are not looking for the people. They're looking towards, can we get to the goal? Due to that, they can often make mistakes with the people because they're more interested in the goal. When you look at the second line, it's called management. And this is interesting because the nature of most commercial enterprises is that they are goal-oriented rather than being people-oriented. If I was running a large corporation and I was looking at my personnel staff, I would make sure that both first and second lines were represented, because it's one thing to be goal-oriented, but the other thing that you need is to have the right people in that process. The exaltation says the development and management of a proper collective structure which restricts inferior elements by creating cooperative modes that integrate these forces with progressive and superior forces. The possibility that alertness to patterns will result in management capability. If you have lousy people working for you, that can be okay. You integrate them with people who do better, and maybe that will kind of pull them up a little bit. It happens all the time. It's quite a common practice. You say, well, they're not doing so well, so let's go and put them with Harry. Poor old Harry. To know how to give the ego its place is to know how to use the ego to its best advantage. The 44 is a company man. 26 isn't. So the 44 is doing what it does for the benefit of the tribe as a whole, and the byproduct of that is that the ego can also benefit. But then again, the ego will only benefit if it can relate to that 44. This is a very social channel. It's the mirror to the channel of community, the 3740. It has its social mechanisms, but it is about business. So it doesn't have the same quality. But it is a place where understanding the other leads to success, because otherwise you don't know what to transmit to them. And you don't know how to transmit to them. And that's the talent that we have here. And it's not a talent that is exclusively for the 44. It's just the talent to know which ego can drive that and how to control that ego. It's the ego and its trickster capacity that creates out of its memory the images and the stories, the look, all of that can get put out directly to the tribe. The 44 by themselves will not do that. Somebody who just has the 44, they don't do that. They'd love to be able to do that because we all want what we're not. In the detriment, a tendency in management to concentrate exclusively on goals, ignoring inferior elements, which leads inevitably to quantitative success and qualitative failure. The instinctive memory for the pattern that bypasses the development of managerial capability. If you understand your salespeople, you know what they can produce. If you're only goal-oriented and you drive them so that they have to give up their rest in order to work, it will fail. Without understanding the other, it's difficult to set realistic goals for them, and this is a key here. Now, the second line, lower trigram, they don't really pay attention to the other, and so they're going to make lousy managers. They have the gift to manage, but they don't have the skills to manage the ego properly, not unless they really pay attention to it. The second line is good at getting the goals done. They will find an ego that will get that work done. But that will lead to a lot of problems in the human organization. And when we're looking at the 4426, we are looking at the most important health movement that we have. So if it will be a qualitative failure, it is ultimately not going to be good either for the corporation or for the workers or for the consumers or whoever it is that is involved in that product, because it is not essentially healthy. On the other hand, like all of these things, if you have somebody who is only interested in goals and that is their design, and they have the second line and they're working in a company that is only interested in goals, excellent, good for them. After all, you're here to be what you are. And it's not a moral question. This is simply about recognizing that in those first two lines, because they are the instinctive themes, here lies the core of the way in which we work together. It's two-sided. One side overemphasizes the human element and the other overemphasizes the goal element. This is the beginning of the hexagram process. We are consciousness in form, and consciousness seems to want to experience everything that is possible on the whole spectrum because we see it all. We get every experience in the this and that of our lives. And so we're supposed to have people who can't manage properly. And we see the results of that. We have situations in which productivity does not work if the success we're looking for isn't there. And this channel is deeply concerned with success, wants to make money. It's much more concerned with success even than the channel of the materialist, the 2145. It's only out of this 4426 that it is possible to create tribal business, to keep the tribe working and occupied with those who create the products, market the products, buy the products. You know, the cycle that keeps society going, it is all built into this 4426 configuration. The 24 line 2 is called recognition. Both the 24 and the 44 are both projector gates, and so recognition is kind of built into them from that point of view. And the second line in any position has to be called out. There must be the recognition that you could be a good manager, that you can handle the ego, or whatever the qualities of the gate are. You're recognized and called out because when you're in your room doing the ironing, you don't know what's going on. Venus is moving into gate 26 at 21:54 today. This is the gate of the egoist, the taming power of the great, and it brings us a channel with the sun, which we will have for the rest of this transit. The channel is called surrender. It's the design of the transmitter. We know this, it's the creative channel of the ego circuit, the creative art of enterprise, of making contact with the community in order to manipulate them into buying something. This channel has the gift of working with people. You know, an instinct for knowing how to present anything to anyone in such a way that you and your message are recognized. You got that again from the 24. It's a projected channel. You know, the lesson here is to learn to wait until your market finds you. It's not about you going door to door to rustle up some sales. The moon is still in gate 32 since 22:45 last night. This is the gate of duration, the gate of continuity, splenic center, of course, carrying the fear of failure on the material plane. And it moves into gate 50 at 10:09 tomorrow morning, the gate of values with a fear of responsibility. And then gate 28, it's not 10:09 tomorrow morning, it's 10:09 this morning, sorry. It moves into gate 50 at 10:09 today, so we've got it for most of the day. That's the energy of the gate of values and the fear of responsibility. And then we have gate 28 at 21:31 this evening, with its fear of death or of dying before finding its purpose. And then we have gate 44, and that's our current sun gate with its fear of the past or a fear of past baggage catching up to you, and really the sort of fear of extinction as a species. So this is our second line in gate 44, and thank you very much for joining me. I will be back for the third line tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you then. Go gently.